It has been more than half a month since this war began, and it shows no signs of stopping. The war is now shifting into phase 2, and an even more dangerous phase has begun. The way Donald Trump has refused to step back, especially after the bombing of Kharg Island, despite clear warnings from Iran that it would retaliate across Gulf states, he simply isn't stopping. If you observe Trump's language and behavior, you'll almost see two different versions of him. On one hand, he keeps claiming victory, saying they are winning, that Iran has been destroyed. On the other hand, he's pleading for help, asking allies to support the US, questioning why America is fighting alone. Ironically, it was the US that chose to go into this war alone. And now, suddenly, Trump remembers those same allies he had been insulting for the past year. Why is this happening? Why is Donald Trump becoming isolated? Why is this war getting more dangerous? And who has started using the word nuclear? Let's quickly try to understand all of this. The war isn't slowing down, and there's also a lot of fake news spreading. For example, speculation about whether Netanyahu is alive or dead is trending on social media. We'll address that too. But first, let's begin with point number 1, the Strait of Hormuz. The US is now deeply worried about the Strait of Hormuz, something it failed to properly calculate earlier. Now the entire focus is on how to deal with Iran's blockade, which is proving extremely difficult. The US has privately admitted that it has no solid plan to remove or counter this blockade. That's why Donald Trump is now tweeting, asking allies, countries like the UK, France, China, to come forward and help escort ships and clear the blockade. The world's biggest military power is now asking others for help, calling it a global issue that could disrupt supply chains and trigger an economic meltdown. Ironically, the same Trump recently told the UK Prime Minister that their help wasn't needed, that the war was almost over. Now, help is being requested again. France has already refused, saying this is America's war and America's problem. Meanwhile, China is quietly smiling, likely playing its own strategic game behind the scenes. China could benefit from this situation, especially if Iran starts allowing ships based on payment in Chinese currency, yuan. Iran is playing a very strategic game here, not just militarily, but economically and diplomatically. Reports suggest that Iran's negotiations with India are progressing positively, which could ensure continued oil and gas supply. This is important because difference in demand and supply were starting to emerge. If Iran starts independently deciding which ships can pass through the strait, it effectively becomes the controller of the Strait of Hormuz. That would be a major problem for the US. Iran is even signaling that ships from countries allied with the US or Israel may not be allowed through unless conditions are met. Another major development is the US bombing of Kharg Island. Trump claimed that they've destroyed key infrastructure and severely damaged Iran's oil export capabilities. Kharg Island is crucial because it provides a deep harbor for large oil tankers. Destroying it impacts Iran's ability to export oil and earn revenue. However, Iran had already warned that if its oil infrastructure was attacked, it would retaliate against Gulf countries. Iran's foreign minister claims that US attacks were launched using HIMARS missiles from UAE territory, making UAE a legitimate target in Iran's view. This could escalate tensions significantly in the Gulf region. Additionally, Iran-backed militias in Iraq have attacked the US consulate in Baghdad. Even the supposedly safe green zone is no longer secure, and evacuations are underway. On top of that, several US air refueling aircraft, KC-135, are reportedly out of action, either destroyed or crashed, impacting America's air dominance. Iran is not firing missiles randomly. It is targeting strategically to cause maximum damage. Looking ahead, things could get even more dangerous. The IRGC has issued warnings, and we've already seen explosions in central Dubai. Iran has made it clear, if its economic interests are attacked, it will target economic infrastructure, banks, businesses, servers, in response. Israel, meanwhile, is accusing Iran of using cluster munitions, bombs that release multiple smaller explosives over a wide area. These are difficult to defend against and can harm civilians. Ironically, Israel itself has used controversial weapons like white phosphorus in the past, but now it is raising concerns about civilian impact. Israel's air defense systems are also reportedly weakening due to limited ammunition and strained radar infrastructure. This could lead to more successful missile strikes in the coming weeks if the war continues. Both the US and Israel are now pushing for a ceasefire, But Iran has set strict conditions: war reparations, US withdrawal from Middle East bases, and formal commitments. Unlike previous conflicts, Iran is demanding written guarantees before any negotiation. At the same time, uncertainty is everywhere. Social media is full of conflicting reports, claims about leadership deaths on both sides, none fully confirmed. Netanyahu's absence from public appearances has raised questions, but it's possible he is operating from a secure bunker. Media control is also becoming a major issue. In the UAE, people can be arrested for sharing footage of attacks. In the US, Trump is warning media outlets to align with national interests or risk consequences. This is a significant shift for a country known for press freedom. Looking ahead, more players may join the conflict. The Houthis in Yemen could enter the war, potentially blocking another critical maritime route, Bab el-Mandeb. If both major choke points are disrupted, global oil prices could increase abruptly. Iran and its allied groups appear to be waiting for Israel's defenses to weaken further before launching larger missile attacks. Meanwhile, reports suggest that even replacement radar systems supplied by allies have been destroyed. Gulf countries are increasingly frustrated with the US and may explore new partnerships with countries like Turkey or Pakistan. Trust in American security guarantees is weakening. Overall, the situation is escalating rapidly. Neither side is willing to back down. Iran is in a fight for existence mode, and Trump is not known for retreating. Now comes the biggest question. Could nuclear weapons be used? 2 weeks ago, this would have seemed unlikely. Even now, it's not certain. Trump is unlikely to take that step. But the same confidence cannot be extended to Israel. There are concerns that a trigger event, or even a false flag operation, could be used to justify nuclear escalation. Iranian officials are already warning about such possibilities and denying any intention to carry out attacks on US soil. However, history shows that such narratives can be manipulated. At this point, the risk is real, not guaranteed, but no longer unthinkable. The coming week will be critical. Negotiations seem unlikely, conditions are too rigid, and both sides are entrenched. This conflict is no longer just regional. It has global economic and strategic consequences, and we'll need to watch very closely where it goes from here. If you appreciate the way we explain things, or found this video interesting, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, Geopolitical Intelligence, for more.